Hi. You probably clicked on this video because you're curious what I've got to say about Arbalest. And bottom line before I get into everything else is that you should be using it this season. Regardless of whether or not you're using it to do salvages, legend salvages, deep dives, the new Ghost of the Deep dungeon, or just kind of Grandmasters and solo lost sectors, Arbalest is an absolute beater this season. And in the title, I had a secret interaction popped up. And it's kind of secret. Honestly, if you think about it, it makes sense. But a lot of people, at least the people that I've played with, just don't know this. And that is the white shields that are everywhere this season are considered elemental shields. And Arbalest one-bangs them. All of them. So, with the clip you can see here, we're doing the Rune boss fight, which is one of the bosses in Salvages. And as you can see, I one-bang that shield. And as you'll see again, I one-bang that shield. And then proceed to miss a few shots, but whatever. I don't know about you guys, but playing this activity, oh my god, people don't know how to break the shields. Again, as you saw, one bang. And that allows you to get to damage phase so much quicker than if you're not using Arbalest. Which, nobody is using Arbalest, so it takes like a million years. And you only need one person to go around and pop the shields. So we'll fast forward a little bit. One bang another shield. Continue on to when the boss spawns. As you can see, I'm about to one bang the boss's shield. Which, again, takes way too long when you're with the blueberries. And Salvages is absolutely not where this ends. I mean, to continue with Salvages, you can take this into Legend Salvages, which have champions, and Arbalest is just a champion destroyer. Just absolutely consumes champions. But where this can also be absolutely omega beneficial to you and your fire team is inside the Ghost of the Deep dungeon. I'm sure you guys have noticed, but both of the bosses in that dungeon, they have the same shield. And as you can see, you can one-bang it with Arbalest. And then for rest of DPS, Arbalest has good total damage. So I pair it with my Apex Predator with Bipod and Reconstruction. So I do Arbalest, unload my Apex Predator, and go back to Arbalest. And I do outdamage my teammates. Granted, this isn't the sweatiest way you can play, but you know, it's easier to hit your shots with Arbalest than just doing all rockets, and you know, you guys know how this boss works. And also, quickly, while we're on the topic of the dungeon, I'd like to just go ahead and let you know what the total damage is. So, if we reverse a little bit, we can see that an Arbalest shot hits for 54,024 damage. Granted, that is with Radiant, but if you're not Radiant or using Oil of Radiance, what are you doing? So with that number, if we go ahead and rally, we can see our total amount of shots is 21, and if we do some basic math, we can find out that over our total reserves, we will deal 1,100,034 damage. Like I mentioned, that's with Radiant, but that isn't including reserves or kinetic surges, if you wish to go that route. And that's a feasible number to hit because across the really long damage phase in that dungeon, you do use like all of your reserves. Also, I'd like to pause for a second and kind of show myself. Why does she move so much? Is that necessary? Anyways, back to what we were saying. And continuing with the dungeon talk, I should be honest. You can do the same thing for the first boss, but with how close the encounter is, and my preferred method of damage is Legend of Acreus. If you just like throw grenades at the boss before he's damageable and you just sit on the damage plate, you can destroy his shield quick enough. So it's not super necessary there. Whereas in the boss I just showed you, yeah, you're probably going to want Arbalest. And then continuing in the same pattern as the salvages, when you do the master version of this, which I don't have any gameplay of that, pretty much every knight in this room is an anti-barrier champion. And Arbalest is absolutely perfect for that. So, if you're already using it for those, might as well use it against the boss too. Which, again, I absolutely 100% recommend you use Arbalest. And then for the other content, which isn't the seasonal stuff or the new with the season, we can talk about solo Lost Sectors as well as Grandmaster Nightfalls. At the time of this recording, it's Fallen Saber, which does have barrier champions. And I don't really need to sound like a broken record, but I will be. Arbalest is correct. It's so good. Use it. And then for solo Lost Sectors, again, use it. And for anybody not keeping up with patch notes, the damage buff that it received with the rest of the kinetic weapons at the beginning of the season pretty much mitigates the nerf that Linear's got. Meaning, over the past few seasons, you know, everybody's gotten used to using Arbalest with solo Lost Sectors and Grandmaster Nightfalls. That hasn't changed at all. And of course, remember in these activities, depending on the surge, if you match that subclass, your kinetic weapons will deal more damage, which means more Arbalest damage. Also, the comparisons for our seasonal artifact regarding what we can do with barrier champions, you've got anti-barrier auto rifle, which, in my opinion, kind of sucks, because you're usually pretty far away from an anti-barrier, and auto rifles don't have the best range. As well as, I prefer to use special weapons to deal with champions. So, again, Arbalest got you covered. And with that, I'll have some gameplay in the background, because seriously, don't forget about this gun. I've seen a huge downtick in the usage, and I'm here to remind you guys, it's still fantastic. So with the gameplay in the background, if you like to support me, support this channel, and you can't think of a comment down below, Arby, because I like to call it that. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you around. Bruh. What was I thinking?